airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics. Please allow me to introduce myself. Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday edition. We made it, everybody. It's nearly the weekend. I'll take you home all the way safe, or at least to the happy hour. I got Evan on the board today. How you doing, Evan?
Oh, killing it, man. Friday. Woo.
Friday, we are going to kill you in this regard. You know, not literally, I hope. Even rhetorically. You know, I'm here to support you, lift you up. But I am going to make you work your ass off. Because I want to do, you know, sort of a Friday fun little exercise. And we've done this exercise like 3 times in 10 years. And it's one of my favorite exercises, but it takes audience participation on a big scale. You know, all the wallflowers, today is your day. But here's what I'd like to do, and I'll get to it in just a moment. We do have a fine guest coming late in the show. She is Jessica Katzenmeyer. She is a congressional candidate, and she is going to discuss some transphobic legislation being rolled out here in the state of Wisconsin. I think Jessica is taking it somewhat personally, but we'll talk with her at 4:50 Central Time today. So that's the only guest. And between here and there, I'm certainly going to throw some of the political headlines of the day at you. But I also want to do a fun little exercise for like the 3rd time in the history of this fine radio program. And I'm going to start by giving all the new listeners, you know, perhaps listening across the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, all across the nation on Devil Radio, 844-967-2789. Wait, you don't have a pen? Write that down or dial it. 844-967-2789. Here's what we're doing. We're going to pick the song that is emblematic of the first year of Joe Biden's presidency.
The soundtrack.
The
Of the Biden presidency, if you will.
Of the Biden presidency so far. And, you know, CJ, even you are allowed to participate today. All you people I've been scoring all week, you know, those that cheat on, we've got a lot of fine listeners that cheat on me with other fine talk radio products. And they call in there and then I hear them and then they're proud and they want to often bring that fine thought that they first shared with another fine lefty talk radio host, and then they bring it to me all sloppy second style. Even you, the recently scorned, can join me on this fine radio program today.
Now's your chance.
Now's your chance. 844-96-PARTY, because Friday it's for grievances. We're going to air some today. And what is the song of the first year of the Joe Biden presidency? And I'll tell you what, I'll lead. I'll go first. I'll even give you the song. You know what song I'm going to pick, right, Evan? So we'll get there in a moment. But I'll give you a little backstory. Crudeism. This song is the song that I marched out to at graduation of high school. In just a wee 17-year-old Crudy version. You know, it was the accomplishment of my life that far. I've had a few minor accomplishments that have perhaps exceeded high school graduation since. But it was kind of a big deal at the time. And there was a song I marched out to. And, you know, as far as the first year of the Biden presidency, I think Joe has got something of an incomplete, you know, we don't know where it's going from here. But I'm optimistic and I feel optimistic about this song. This song raises my spirits. And this is how I feel. Are we ready for this? This is how I feel about the first year of the Joe Biden presidency. This is the song Crudy chooses. You ain't seen nothing yet. Play it. Yeah. So this is where my money goes. And I find this to be an optimistic song, maybe because it reminds me of the glory days. I was quite a bit skinnier there, had a lot more hair, and a lot of optimism in my heart, gleam in my eye. Still had these dimples. But those were petty times. 1988, Crudy walking across the stage. Hadn't even turned 18 yet, still just a young man. And that's the way I feel about the Joe Biden presidency. So far, thus far, it's just early. We're early in the game. And we'll see what happens from here. But today, on this big show, as we air the Friday grievances, we choose the song or soundtrack of the first year of the Joe Biden presidency. So, play along. 844-967-2789. We can be done with Crudy's song for now, Evan. And I'm going to throw an early grievance out there. We also do grievances on Fridays. I'm going to throw an early one out there. My early grievance is there was a political candidate. Let's call him a candidate for now. I'll tell the story. And this candidate said he'd run for attorney general if only he could raise $1 million in 10 days. $1 million in 10 days. And the candidate put himself out there publicly. And, it takes a lot of guts to be a political candidate. So I don't chop him off at the knees for that. But the guy made a prediction, $1 million, 10 days. And now we've seen the campaign finance reports. And that candidate raised $27,000 in 10 days. Little, below the bar, little short of the goal, and ran anyways. And I'm talking about Texas's own Louis Gohmert. Congressman Louis Gohmert apparently said if he could raise $1 million, he'd run for attorney general of the great state of Texas. Oh, the people of Texas, they'd be so proud. And he raised 27 grand and he ran anyways. That's going to be a very expensive race for a statewide race. And, I don't play a lot of Texas electoral politics, but Ken Paxton, the guy that is the current attorney general, the incumbent, that guy's been under political investigation and indictment since he was elected to office. And he's got, some challengers, but he's also sitting on a war chest of like $7.5 million. So I'm not sure if Louis Gohmert has to give up his congressional seat, but wouldn't that kind of be a silver lining here? If Louis Gohmert had to give up the Congress and he's running for attorney general and he's declared his candidacy, but he only raised 27 grand. Apparently through the course of the next couple months, he's now claiming he's got a balance greater than $1 million, but it's still small. It's not going to get her done. Ken Paxton's got a couple of primary opponents with a lot of money. And, I don't know if $1 million even would cut it, but 27 grand ain't going to. I hope Louis Gohmert already, burned the bridge back to the Congress. But we are playing a little exercise. Friday grievances. We always do that around here, and you can air yours. And also, the first year of Joe Biden's presidency, I think officially was yesterday, today, it's this week. And we're picking a song and a soundtrack, and we're playing along. Good friends welcome, new friends welcome. Profane Ronnie, you're always welcome, as long as you keep it clean. Welcome, sister. How you doing?
I always try and keep it clean, but you know me, I struggle sometimes.
Well, how are we doing today, Ronnie?
Pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. I like your I like your selection. I like that one better than mine.
I'm feeling a little optimistic. It can't get any worse, so it's got to get better, right? You haven't seen anything yet. You ain't seen nothing yet, Ronnie.
Right. I really like that because that is how I feel. But looking back on it, the first thing that popped into my mind was Bob Seger against the wind, because Joe Biden fighting against the wind.
That's also about, a young Bob Seger. He was so strong back then, right? We all were, weren't we, Ronnie? It seemed like we had strong backs and broad shoulders. My belly was a lot flatter then.
Mine too.
I was sporting a mullet. You know, Joe Biden used to have a fine shock of hair as well. I think he got plugs, though. His hair has seen better days.
He did. Yes.
Are you optimistic about the Biden presidency going forward?
I am. And I'm actually optimistic about the 2022 election this fall. I think that the righties have done so much crap that, and the Supreme Court and just everybody all around, I think we are super mobilized. What Mitch McConnell said about African-American voters, we should just play that nonstop because no matter who's running for what office, they are part of the Republican Party, and this is the leader of their party.
Well, I paraphrase, and I don't mean to take Mitch McConnell out of context. I never got around to playing this sound, but obviously it's out there. But Mitch McConnell basically contrasted African Americans and the percentage at which they vote with Americans, apparently implying white people. And I'm not sure if it was a Freudian slip or sort of a Confederacy slip. I think he might have meant to say it that way.
I think he did, which we would never say it that way. I mean, he's a moron. They're evil, and I think we're gonna just absolutely flood the polls this fall. So, and I'm going to be retired, so I'm going to work my butt off to do that.
You're going to be a poll worker, Ronnie?
I am. I'm already signed up to work the elections, and but I'm going to go out and campaign. I hate going door to door, and I hate phone calls, but I'm going to do it because it's totally necessary.
Ronnie, do you recall what was the soundtrack of your graduation, whatever year that was, when you were a young lady, and you were optimistic and you had the world by the you know what? What's senior song or whatever? What was your senior song?
Yeah, our senior final party song was "Come Sail Away" with from Styx.
Oh, I'm familiar. Even I, for a moment there in my head, I'm playing it in my head, but occasionally I sing on the radio. Not "Come Sail Away," sister.
Me too.
I don't sing "Come Sail Away." Well, relative to your graduation song, life has gotten so much better, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Hey, sister.
We got the right guy in the White House, so
we do.
That's a big difference.
Ronnie, have a wonderful weekend. Go Packers! Come back with us. More Devils. You ain't seen nothing yet.
19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Managing today's uncertainty can be overwhelming. Focus on what you can control, even if it's little things, like your before bedtime ritual.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and Congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertisement. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Dad, I picked up your pills, made your lunch, and your laundry is done.
When you care for a loved one, you take care of everything. But are you taking care of yourself? Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Spruce up your home with soy candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents. Did you know our candle jars are also double old-fashioned glasses? That's right, buy a candle and you get a free cocktail glass. Check out our blog at wiscohomegoods.com/blog for more information. That's wiscohomegoods.com/blog.
Occupy didn't start on Wall Street. It started on our street. The Devil's Advocate.
Ich ein Lied für dich von 99 Luftballons auf ihrem Weg zum Horizont. Denkst du
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday edition. We air grievances around here, usually of the political sort. But today we're doing a fun exercise, like the third time I've ever done this, 10 years. We're picking the song, at least of the first year of the Joe Biden presidency. I like BTO. You ain't seen nothing yet. But my next caller, Jim from St. Louis Park, picked this one, 99 Left Balloons. Jim, welcome to the show. Why'd you pick this one for the Biden presidency song?
Because the first year began with Trump in office. And I mean, everything was going to hell. Our foreign policy. I mean, he's a guy that banned Muslims from coming into the country. He was trying to end democracy in America. Economic collapse, nothing to do with to help the pandemic. And I think that Biden was a return to normalcy. And Biden's accomplished so much, yet I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this in a media platform, but he reduced child poverty, cut it in half. He got the largest infrastructure bill in 30 years. He's been the best president for working people that we've had since FDR. He ended the war in Afghanistan. I remember early he did an executive action that saved a whole lot of pensions. So it's just an excellent president, but not if you listen to the mainstream media.
Well, Jim, I nearly giggled when you said, if you're allowed to say this on a media platform. They don't say it a lot, do they? I mean, you don't hear a lot of good news. And perhaps it's because the coverage of Trump was so often negative. I mean, we had to cover Trump in a negative fashion because the guy was burning down the planet each and every day. He's violating while the country was burning down. But Joe Biden effectively got very little honeymoon. And certainly since the withdrawal of Afghanistan on, has got nothing but negative press. Jim, you would have thought the country was doing terribly. You obviously think the country's heading in the, would you say right track, wrong track, Jim? Are we heading in the right direction?
In the right direction. I mean, one of the big problems, which is very obvious. I mean, we have an exact split in the Senate, and what is it, a 4 or 5 seat House advantage? So it's really hard to accomplish anything legislatively at this point. And I kind of have a policy question that I was wondering. What would you think if the Democrats push really hard to drop the age of Medicare to 60, just from 60 to 65, and it would admit so many people that need it so bad? I'm a carpenter, and I know carpenters that should retire, but they can't because they have health care through the carpenters, and they can't afford that gap to not have insurance for a few years. I mean, a lot of carpenters, their bodies are shot, after doing it for a long time. So,
well, Jim, I feel your pain in regards to working in the trades, man. I can't imagine how hard these guys work. I was trying to sort of let my wife understand this concept. We were talking about unionization and talking about why it is that a person that works with their body, be it in the trades or on a factory floor, whatever the case may be, you need collective bargaining. You need a pension. You need probably a earlier retirement than a guy like me. I'm not digging ditches here. I'm sitting on a stool talking on the radio for a couple hours a day. This isn't exactly laborious. I don't need to retire from this young, but some people do. And anyways, Medicare lowering the eligibility age as a 51-year-old guy, Jim, I would love that. I mean, the amount of money that I pay for a family policy, it's exorbitant, at least in my opinion. And I'm now on the Obamacare exchanges. I've always tried to provide small group coverage as the employer. I have to make contributions. This whole radio endeavor hasn't been profitable enough yet to do that. So I find myself on the Obamacare exchanges, and through thresholds of math and whatever, I get a little subsidy, or at least a tax write-off, and it feels good, but it's still damn expensive. And if I was a working stiff, if I had a bad back and bad knees and everything else, man, I worked one summer in construction. I fell off a roof. And I thought to myself, I'd kill myself in this industry. But anyways, Jim, yes, let's lower the age. And yes, Democrats, let's stand up for the working people. I think that's what government's supposed to be. If life collapses on you, the government is supposed to provide a healthcare safety net or whatever the case may be. Anyways, just one man's opinion. We're taking songs as well. Friday grievances, got a lot of stuff going on here at 844-967-2789. There's my little cheating buddy, Mark from the Sack. Heard you on Tom Hartman recently. Come on, man. We're going to have loyalty tests going forward.
Well, I wasn't on there today, so that.
I hear you today, man. I encourage you today. Quickly, what song would you pick for the first year of the Joe Biden presidency?
Well, I wish we could say "Train to Bangkok" because that's an old Rush standard, celebrate Herb, but that we're facing such, maybe it's that we have entered the twilight zone with facing the Republicans, I guess, that trying to obstruct everything. And my grievance this today, in fact, is Ron Johnson's office is not taking phone messages at all. His mailbox is full, apparently.
Well, Ron's doing a big public hearing, a second look at coronavirus, a skeptic look, a anti-vaxxer look. I believe, and I received this information as a, let's call me as a fine journalist, Mark, and appreciate you listening, man. I appreciate you calling into all the fine shows. Damn it, I forgot what I was going to say. I got too much going on, Mark. More Friday grievances. Come back with us. I'll try to remember my lost thoughts and the song tracks of the Joe Biden presidency. This one's Mark's pick, right? Passage to Bangkok. Do I have that right, Evan? You're nodding. 63% of the time, I get it right every time. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, more of your Friday grievances, more opportunities for you to name why you think or what you think is the song or the song soundtrack of the Joe Biden presidency so far. At least we ain't playing Crazy Train anymore. Come back. More Devil's Advocates.
That could be. It might be. It is. Devil Radio 92.7.
Wisconsin. You know that Drew Holiday and Brooke Lopez are champions on the court, but did you know they're also champions for our community?
Hey, Wisconsinites. Drew Holiday here.
And Brooke Lopez here.
I love being a champion.
And today I'm asking you to be a champion citizen.
Defend your right to vote and exercise your freedom to vote.
It's more important now than ever because politicians are trying to restrict our freedom to vote.
They're worried about our power, so they want to take it away.
Don't let them do that.
You've got to block that shot.
Paid for by the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at P4PPC.
Coronavirus update. I'm Ben Thomas with an AP News Minute. Johns Hopkins University's tally puts the 7-day average of COVID-19 cases in the U.S. around 736,000, while deaths have risen to more than 1,800 per day. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says Omicron cases are dropping in areas that peaked early.
So areas of the Northeast, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut are really starting to come down. That also means that some areas are higher than they had been before, but overall, nationally, the case numbers are coming down, which I consider an optimistic trend.
She adds it's still too soon to relax. A trio of studies are offering evidence about the effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccines against the Omicron variant. AP medical writer Mike Stobie says a booster is important.
You really need it against Omicron because 2 doses doesn't seem to be as effective, especially compared to how things were in the past.
I'm Ben Thomas.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code FREE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code FREE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FREE.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. This morning, Congressman Mark Bocan wrote a letter to the U.S. Department of Justice urging Attorney General Merrick Garland to investigate the 10 members of the GOP that posed as false electors in 2020. The letter comes after the Michigan Attorney General recommended the Department of Justice open a criminal investigation into the fraudulent electors for their state last week. More than 200 of the hourly employees for the Madison Metropolitan School District have not been paid overtime or shift differential since mid-December due to a ransomware attack on Kronos, the payroll management system the district uses. The University of Wisconsin has banned a fan that was removed from Tuesday evening's men's basketball game at Northwestern University from all future Wisconsin athletic events. The fan was removed from the game after making several racist gestures at the Northwestern student section. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
Maybe we can talk all night, but that ain't getting us nowhere.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the Friday edition. And sort of sad news, anti-vaxxer Meatloaf, the singer of this song, dead at age 74. Apparently, he died of COVID. And we're going to get to Doug from Madison. Doug, be patient for just a moment. But here's a little something from Forbes regarding some recent news made by Meatloaf. Meatloaf said that he doesn't believe in climate change and claimed that climate activist Greta Thunberg has somehow been brainwashed. He also claimed that he's a sex god. Well, we all make that claim, don't we?
Quite a ride, yeah.
Anyways, my understanding, he was a rabid anti-vaxxer, anti-masker, and sadly died of COVID at age 74. But, you know, there's new statistics out today. People over 65, seniors, are 50 times more likely to be hospitalized if they're not vaccinated. You know, the statistics are out there by now.
It's easy. They did the math for us.
I mean, you can get a free shot. Meatloaf, dead at age 74 of COVID. Let's get to the phones. Doug, this was your choice. Did you pick this one because Meatloaf just died, or because you really think it's emblematic of the first, the first year of the Biden presidency?
Well, I did pick some low-hanging fruit there with Meatloaf's death. Rest in peace. But yeah, I think I'd probably be a little overly optimistic with the 2 out of 3 ain't bad. He's probably not hitting 67% in his first year, but
come on, man. You hit 300, you're going to the Hall of Fame. You go 1 for 3 in the bigs, you're going to the Hall of Fame, buddy.
Maybe in baseball, and in politics, we'll see how that works out. But
well, I suspect the last guy was below the Mendoza line. What were?
Well, yeah, and we just saw what happened to him, and unfortunately, he was closer than it should have been. But anyway, we'll see how Biden pans out in his next 3 years. But the words kind of ring true in that, I want you, I need you, but there ain't no way I'm ever going to love you, Joe Biden.
Doug, would you consider yourself more conservative or more of a liberal? Where do you fall on the political spectrum, if I may ask?
Oh, I'm definitely on the progressive side.
Okay,
Yeah, for sure.
so you're to the left of Joe Biden.
I'm on some things, I would say, and probably most things.
Is it
Joe,
fair to say you voted for the socialist?
I did not vote for the socialist, but if there was a socialist on there, I actually voted for a socialist in a Democratic socialist in the primary.
Yeah. As did I, sir. As did I.
I'm aware of that.
Is it possible? I mean, I think any Democrat that doesn't accomplish all the different things that I would like to see accomplished is obviously going to leave me wanting for something. I mean, life never has satisfied all my wants, but I will tell you, as a president, they don't control everything. And you look at the character of this man and what he's trying to accomplish for the country. And at least I say of Joe Biden, the man's heart is in the right place, and he is empathetic and he's compassionate and he has a heart. And the last guy didn't have a heart. He didn't care a squat about dead people, Doug. I think Joe Biden feels America's pain. I just think it's hard to know how to change the trajectory of a COVID pandemic when there's still lots of meatloafs in the world and meatheads in the world that won't get vaccinated.
No, I get that, and in fact, I get I get a little irritated by other progressives who are have the high bar set for expectations for that just are not realistic because of everything that you just laid out. So I'm not. I think Biden is doing a good job. I think he's doing the best that he can. As Joe Biden, but. He's also not Barack Obama. And so we're missing some of that, inspiring rhetoric kind of, aspect of it as well. And so that's probably where I'm not loving Joe Biden.
Well, I appreciate that thought, Doug. There are lots of others that would like to contribute here. I like Joe better of late in the forcefulness of his recent speech on January 6th and the subsequent speech on voting rights in Georgia, and hell, even the press conference. I know some of the hosts here on this fine radio network were less impressed. I only saw, or pardon me, we played out like 40 minutes of live Joe. But I can tell you, Joe did 2 hours, man. That's a guy up for the fight, at least. We're going back to the phones. 844-967-2789. The official song of the first year of the Joe Biden presidency, according to Totter Billy, is what, Totter Billy?
Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J.
I remember that too. Now tell me why would you pick that one, Totter Billy?
I think for a lot of reasons, and I think it relates to my Friday grievance as well. First of all, it just fires me up. It's a song that fires me up. It's not real edgy as far as hip hop goes, but it's fun. It's good. And we need to be fired up. And my grievance is when people don't get fired up and they're too caught up and it's not good enough and gloom and doom. And when we need to realize that, listen to a little devil radio for sure, but get off your butt and do something. Because if we all do, I feel like if we weren't so busy complaining and we were on the phones and hitting the pavement and that sort of thing, that we could have some influence. We're so close to a tipping point, for instance, with these last two bills. It's 2 senators, and I know they're hearing from us, but I can't help but think if they were hearing from a few million more of us, it might make a difference, and we can't give up. So Mama Said Knock You Out has a lot of energy, and we got to keep the energy, and we got to keep pushing.
Totter Billy, I love your Friday afternoon energy, man. Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. Brother, you're always welcome here at 844-967-2789. Going back to the phones, getting your Friday grievances and perhaps even your choice. The first year of Joe Biden's presidency, it's done. And we're picking a soundtrack and we're taking your contributions and we're going to the phones. Jeannie from Eau Claire, there's an old friend. Hi, Jeannie.
Hi, sir. Oh, you've got great callers. It's just a joy to listen. It's really inspiring. First I had taking care of business, of course, and then I thought
I stole it. I took that one, Jeannie.
And then I think I saw the light because, God darn it, all the rotten stuff the Republicans have been doing all these years, and it all compiled into one big boom, with Walker going in the chairs and twirling around and telling Trump how to pull this stuff on our whole country that they pulled in Wisconsin. It's just wonderful to see somebody up there fighting for us. So I guess that's my song. And thank you for taking my
the
call.
one, the version that we're playing right now that Evans picked? Hank Williams?
Yep. I thought, but there's others that got a lot of more, oomph and inspiration. But I didn't have
There it is, Jeannie. I don't mean to drown you out. I just wanted to hear it a little bit.
Yeah,
less
good, 'cause
familiar
I
with
love
the
it.
song. Hey, sister, I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
You too, and thank you, and you have a good weekend too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. 844-967-2789. Even you conservatives, you can play along. I'm picking the song track of the first year of Joe Biden's life or presidency. And all of our lives, we're all affected by the decisions made by Joe Biden. Like him, love him, or something else. He's all of our president. So you can pick a song and, maybe I'll join you in singing the lyrics. Who knows? 844-967-2789. Here's a familiar name. Pizza Box Mike of Outside the Pizza Box fame, Saturdays right here on the Devil Radio Network. Pizza Box, you got your own show going on Outside the Pizza Box noon Saturdays.
Oh, yeah, that's tomorrow.
That is tomorrow,
I better get ready.
You better
get
ready.
I better get ready. There's not much to talk about. I've seen the light too, Jeannie. Therefore, I picked the first year of Biden, Enter Sandman.
Like the Metallica song?
Like, hell yeah, man.
Now tell us why. You can't just throw it out there because I might misconstrue your intent. What do you mean to say by this? Because this song gets me fired up, Mike.
Me too. It's not Biden's fault. Isn't it sad? It's not his fault. It's not his fault he got elected, and it's not his fault that we got a bunch of centrist Democrats that are just tanking us all, man. They're not tanking Biden. They're tanking the world, man, the future. Does anybody give a damn about their kids or their grandkids? You got to be at least half this country must be so dumbed down that it is. It's like some of the worst movies you've ever seen coming to reality.
So Joe Biden, what's his role moving forward? Today forward, year 2, year 3, year 4, hell, maybe even a second term. But let's start with year 2. What should Joe Biden be doing, Pizza Box? How's he going to change this world for the better?
Beat the crap out of everything in his way, man. You're the president. Don't even worry about it. You're not going to get another term. You could be the just a dead president after year 2 if they take over the Congress and the Senate. So have some fun, man. Kick some ass. Don't be afraid.
Well, I like the advice, but you're talking rhetorically, not like he threatened to do during the not the primaries, the general with Trump, take him out back and whoop his ass behind the shed, right? You're not saying Joe's got to whoop all these people's butts. The man's like in his late 70s.
Crudy, you and I couldn't even do that anymore, right? No, we're talking about.
Well, speak for yourself.
Taking names of the people that are obstructing everything, which would be, of course, the entire Republican Party. And I don't know why the world doesn't know that. Well, the world does. Maybe Republicans don't, and maybe there are just that many people that are that racist and that hateful and that stupid, right?
Could be, Pizza Box. Man, you're bringing me down. Tune in Outside the Pizza Box right here on the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, 92.7 FM right here in Madison, 540 AM and 101 FM, The Shaw in Milwaukee, Waukesha. Outside the Pizza Box with my pal Mike. 844-967-2789. Steve from Minneapolis. Looks like you might be next. Steve, welcome. You got a grievance for us, or maybe a song?
Well, to begin with, greetings from George Floyd Square. That's where I live. Which, things are looking up here. But I'm the precinct chair for the Democratic Farmer Labor Party here.
Yes, sir.
And we had our planning meeting for precinct caucuses last night. And everybody's white. I'm like, what the hell? Anyway, my song is "Fight the Good Fight" by Triumph.
I gotcha. Evan scrambling. I thought you told him a different song. He's getting to it.
No.
He's getting to it.
It's they're a Canadian band, but
Is this it? Is this the one you picked, Steve?
yeah,
And why this song? I'm less familiar with this song as well. Why this song?
just the thought of you're on the right side of history. Fight your ass off.
And that's what this song means to you, Steve.
Yes, it does.
Steve, I appreciate you listening on AM 950. It's too bad your Vikings don't get to fight their asses off this weekend.
Well, yeah, that's a 2-hour conversation. We can't do that now.
Come on, man. I'm trash talking on a Friday. Steve from Minneapolis, please don't hold it against me. Keep listening, man. Please continue contributing to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Let's play this one going to break. What was it again? Triumph. What's the song?
Fight the good fight.
Fight the good fight, Joe
Hell
Biden.
yeah.
We're airing Friday grievances. We're picking the soundtrack of the first year of the Joe Biden presidency, and we're running your phone calls from here to a long time from now. 844-967-2789.
Discouraged, don't be afraid, because make it.
Social media? You've kept up with the times. If you can do that, you can definitely save for retirement. Go to aceyourretirement.org, and in just 3 minutes, you'll get free tips to help boost your retirement savings. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and Congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Treat yourself to some Wisco Home Goods natural lotions or sugar scrub in 2022. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our natural hand soaps, lotions, and sugar scrubs offer you the luxury you deserve. Wisco Home Goods self-care products come in a variety of scents you're sure to love. So go on, add a little pampering to your daily routine. Order at wiscohomegoods.com. Natural, healthy, nourishing self-care and more at wiscohomegoods.com.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does, especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstead of the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I'm excited to announce our new beer, AOC IPA. This IPA pays homage to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a champion of the progressive movement. AOC IPA is now available in stores throughout Wisconsin. Check our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to see which stores in your area are carrying it.
Charged, never convicted. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's Friday, folks. We survived the week, and we're taking your request, I guess, of sorts. I'm asking you to pick the soundtrack, the song, if you will, of the first year of the Joe Biden presidency. And we've had lots of suggestions, and this one came from an audience member, Eric. And I'm going to go to Eric right now. Eric on the phone's at 844-967-2789. Eric, that sounds like meatloaf to me, man. Why all roughed up and no place to go? Why'd you pick that one up for the first year of Joe Biden's presidency?
Well, Mr. Crute, long time no speak. And
I a long-time listener, multiple-time caller.
Awesome.
Well, basically because that's kind of the Biden administration. They're all revved up with no place to go. They got all these what do you call them? FDR, New Deal type stuff going on, but they can't get anywhere. And it's not these two senators. I mean, this is all 400 years in the making. Let's be honest. But at the moment, when the moment's like ripe for picking, and after following 2020 and all the upheaval and all the things that happened, he rode in on a white stallion, so to speak, I guess. And the last great white hope was Joe Biden, and then he got kind of, no place to go. But I'll tell you what, though, fight the good fight is a jam. That is a jam. And
the Triumph tune.
So that's a good one for all people trying to fight, for what's right.
Eric,
so the Triumph tune, yeah, for sure.
Eric, if I may ask, where do you fall on the political spectrum? Is Joe not progressive enough?
I'm way left of Bernie.
Left of Bernie, man. That's a.
I'm left of Bernie. Yeah. Yep, all the way, man.
Yeah.
Yep. Hard labor. Yeah. I gotta fly. Take care.
Okay, man. Thanks for listening. 844-967-2789. We are taking your suggestions for the first year of Joe Biden's presidency. What song? And also your Friday grievances. They're always welcome here on Fridays. I just got a couple sent in. I'll read a couple of the emails in a minute, but back to the phones. Bob from Minneapolis. Bob, welcome to the show. I don't see what your song choice was, so you're going to have to tell me, Bob, what song would you pick for the Biden presidency so far?
Well, it would just be a little snippet of The Long and Winding Road, and then you slam into a song called Go by Tones on Tail. Great 80s club tune.
Is this the tune? Go?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've heard this. Now, okay. Why this tune? Why are you picking this one?
It's kind of about messaging. It's kind of a fun tune, at least to me. It's got energy, and it says all that we need to do. Go. Just go. Get her done kind of attitude.
Get her done, indeed. Bob, do you got any Friday political grievances or others?
I do. I'm in the hometown for Native Roots Radio here, and I know you guys are carrying it now.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Pilot, Okunjahade, I love that name. He was talking about how he was meeting up with some Wisconsin senators because there was some legislation being considered that was going to impact a lot of people, especially natives. And he got the definite, strong sense that they were afraid to meet with him because I don't know if they thought he was going to come in there and like try to scalp them or whatever whack stereotypes they got going. So my thing is, with everything that's going on, I think we can, walk and chew gum at the same time, but we have to address the wrongs that we did to our native indigenous peoples.
Well, that's well said.
In order to get anything else done, any other sense of justice, we got to do that at the bare minimum.
Bob, appreciate your thoughts and your musical suggestions for the Biden soundtrack, the first year of his presidency so far. Our friend, Robert Pilot, who is the host of Native Roots Radio, and that plays out live in Minneapolis where it originates. And Robert was just in here. Evan, you produced him on Wednesday night. He actually grew up in my hometown, Madison, Wisconsin, and he is a elected Ho-Chunk elder. And the only thing I would wonder, Bob, the Ho-Chunk, because of the casinos here in the state of Wisconsin, they are a powerful force, if you will. So there might be some literal fear of the Ho-Chunk Nation, perhaps. And there's also apparently some tribal negotiations going on, along with betting on the sports. One of the casinos, one of the tribes were permitted. I think the Oneida up in Green Bay were allowed to do parimutuel betting on sports. And then it was the St. Croix. And I got to think the Ho-Chunk that have the De Jope and the big Ho-Chunk casino and perhaps another one. I think they're building in Beloit. They're going to want the sports betting as well. So some of the Republicans just might be a little hesitant to talk shop right now. 844-967-2789. Going back to the phones. Carol listening. Carol, where are you calling from?
Madison.
Awesome, Carol. We appreciate you listening on Devil Radio. Now, did you have a thought about the soundtrack, the song of the first year of Joe Biden's presidency?
Well, I just think that right now we've got to protect democracy.
Now, you're talking Sammy Hagar style Van Halen right now, aren't you, Carol?
Yes, I am.
I like this tune. I've always liked this tune. You know, I always like Diamond Dave Van Halen, but, you know, I almost prefer Sammy Hagar Van Halen. I know that's out sacrilegious to some, but I love this tune.
Yeah, I do too. Saw Sammy at Summerfest a few summers back.
Carol, you got any political grievances along with a damn fine song choice? Did I lose you, Carol?
Just that, you know, we have got to pin Republican crap on these guys, and I wish there was a way to lobby the Supreme Court, but of course the state Supreme Court, because we got to get the gerrymandering under control.
Well, Carol, I really appreciate your call. The Wisconsin State Supreme Court currently considering redistricting. And when you talk about lobbying the state Supreme Court, Carol, the only way I know how to do that, get out your checkbook, sister. That's what, you know, the political interests do when they want to buy themselves some Supreme Court justices. Like the special prosecutor guy, Gableman. Oh, he, you know, sort of paved the way for the acceptance of grandiose campaign contributions. Wisconsin Club for Growth, I believe, gave him over $1 million. The realtors over $1 million. Carol, it's going to cost some jing. But if you want to influence the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, go buy yourself, especially a couple of, you know, conservative justices. I recommend you do so right now. Come back. More Devil's Advocates will continue playing as long as the audience is playing along. We're picking the soundtrack of the Joe Biden presidency, and we're airing the Friday grievances. Yours could be welcome here if you just dial 844-967-2789. We'll come back hour two, more of your musical requests, long distance dedications going out from here to Joe in DC.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Rocker. Meet me at the new Dark Horse Art Bar in East Wash. Happy hour is Tuesday through Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. You pick the day. 2-for-1 rail drinks and slices of Sal's tomato pies for $1. Jimmy, it's happy hour at the Dark Horse Art Bar, 756 East Washington in Madison, across from the Sylvie.
Madison's newest happy hour, craft cocktail, local art and music. Find out more at the new Dark Horse Art Bar and Gallery, online at darkhorsemadison.com.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and Congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The U.S. and Russia say they'll keep talking after a meeting between their top diplomats failed to ease the standoff over Ukraine. Our Sagar Magani has details.
As expected, there was no breakthrough in Geneva. Tens of thousands of Russian troops still massed at the Ukrainian border. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says he and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will likely meet again.
Let's see what the next phase brings.
He says next week will bring written responses from the U.S. to a list of Russian demands, including one that Ukraine never be allowed to join NATO. Washington's already rejected that. And at the White House, Jen Psaki says it will again.
There's no trade space for there, none.
For now, Russia says it has no plans to invade Ukraine. Blinken says Moscow should prove it by removing its troops.
It is deeds and actions, not words, that make the difference.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
In coronavirus news, Johns Hopkins University's tally puts the 7-day average of COVID-19 cases around 736,000, while deaths have risen to more than 1,800 per day. But CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says Omicron cases are dropping in areas that peaked early.
That also means that some areas are higher than they had been before, but overall, nationally, the case numbers are coming down.
A trio of studies offer more evidence about the effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccines against the Omicron variant. AP medical writer Mike Stobie says a booster is important.
You really need it against Omicron because 2 doses doesn't seem to be as effective, especially compared to how things were in the past.
On Wall Street, stocks finished with another weekly loss. On the day, the S&P 500 fell 1.9%, the Dow 1.3%, and the NASDAQ 2.7%. This is AP News.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code FREE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code FREE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FREE.
Time you will know the true power of Devil Radio 92.7. It is your destiny.
We face real challenges. My name is Peter Pekarsky, and I approve this ad stating that I'm running for the U.S. Senate to replace Ron Johnson because some people see things as they are and ask why. Others dream things that could be and ask why not. Why not provide health care as a basic right? Why not have broadband all over Wisconsin? Why not end systemic racism? Why not send a real progressive to the Senate? Visit PekarskyForWisconsin.com and support this ad paid for by Pekarsky for Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, you know that Drew Holiday and Brooke Lopez are champions on the court, but did you know they're also champions for our community?
Hey, Wisconsinites, Drew Holiday here.
And Brooke Lopez here.
I love being a champion.
And today I'm asking you to be a champion citizen.
Defend your right to vote and exercise your freedom to vote.
It's more important now than ever because politicians are trying to restrict our freedom to vote.
They're worried about our power, so they want to take it away.
Don't let them do that.
You've got to block that shot.
Paid for by the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
This is the radio station you were looking for. Devil Radio 92.7. It surrounds us. It penetrates us. It binds the world together.
Help me, Devil Radio. You're my only hope.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. As of Thursday, the state of Wisconsin is reporting the highest death rate from COVID-19 since vaccines became widely available, with an average of 30 Wisconsinites dying a day over the past month due to the virus. Wisconsin is averaging close to 19,000 cases per day over the past week, and state health officials are not certain when the state will experience the peak from the Omicron surge. Yesterday, a Dane County jury found Chandler Halderson guilty in the murder and dismemberment of his parents in the summer of 2021. The first-degree intentional homicide conviction carries a mandatory life sentence, and attorneys will argue in March whether or not Halderson will ever be eligible for parole. Sunshine in the forecast today with winds up to 15 miles an hour and a high today of 19 degrees. Partly cloudy skies expected this evening with a 40% chance for snow after midnight and an overnight low of 12 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
You are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Devil Radio studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday 4 o'clock happy hour. And I'm very excited because we're having a fun time. I hope you're enjoying the show so far, and you could be a participant in this show. We've got Jessica Katzenmeyer late in this hour. She is a congressional candidate in the state of Wisconsin. She's going to talk about some transphobic legislation being pushed out by the Republicans here. Her Friday grievance, if you will. So we'll introduce you to Jessica at about 4:50 Central Time. But during the course of this show so far, been doing a little exercise, and it brings us together as a sort of a Devil's Advocates family. And we're bringing together our musical choices for the first year of the Joe Biden presidency. It's not the first time I've done this exercise. All credit goes to the wanker initially. You know, we use this as an exercise to pound on Scott Walker, the former governor of the state of Wisconsin. Then somewhere, 2017, 2018 timeframe, we played this game with Trump and had a lot of fun. And I'm actually kind of thinking about Trump today. What am I wearing here, Evan? Ooh. I got my Dump Trump t-shirt with, the big poop emoji.
To make an NFT.
With the pompadour.
Yeah.
It says Crute for president on the back. I didn't win that election. Anyways, having some fun. Want you to participate. And Robert, a friend of ours from out at Eureka, California, listening on KGOE. And apparently they made a little promo for their friends over at KGOE. And Robert shared it with us. Robert Stretton, this contribution, this is his choice for a song for Joe Biden's presidency. Apparently sort of Alexa themed. Play for the people, Evan.
Joe Biden. His boy Hunter. Maisie. Jill. His wife. Vote in November. Shall I repeat myself like a freaking parrot?
That's cute.
Thank you, Robert, for that submission. I'm not sure if it's precisely analogous to what we're doing, but whenever you got some good material, maybe a good story, it's always worth repeating it. So thank you, Robert. We're going to get back to the phones and your Friday grievances at 844-967-2789. I believe Wisco Paul, we're going to pick you first. Do you have a song choice for the Joe Biden presidency?
I certainly do. Happy Friday. Go Packers.
Go Packers. Go Badgers. The Badgers got a big basketball tilt against Michigan State tonight.
Absolutely. Also, it's Canned Heat, 1969. Let's work together. He certainly tried. I do have a grievance, and it's good old Rojo, Ron Johnson, not my senator. He not only voted against the infrastructure bill to help all the working people in the state, he voted against the voter bill. That just totally sucks. In fact, he's a D-bag. So with that, I'm out of here.
Well, that kind of goes against your sentiment for Joe Biden. You're saying let's work together, and you're doing just the opposite. What is it, Wisco? Animus for back of your hand for all Republicans?
or let's work together, sir?
Well, what I'm saying there, Crudy, is Joe Biden tried to work together with the Republicans in his first year, okay?
Yes, sir.
And it hasn't worked out. So it'll be a different song next year. But this year he tried to work together. So that's where I'm coming at with that, Crudy.
I appreciate the thought, Wisco. Back of the hand from Wisco from here forward. 844-967-2789. I believe Joe, you're next. What is your musical choice for the Biden presidency so far?
Well, I told him the song was called "Great Romances" by a band called Texas. Kind of a pop song from the I think it's from the late '80s or whatever. But it's really got more to do with my year than it really does Joe's. It kind of made me realize that the older you get, the it gets a little tougher. Okay, but let's just leave it at that. But anyway, I have grievances that I'd like to bring up.
Yes, sir. But that was your song, right? Okay. You can hear it in the background. The Great Romances play in Texas. So wait, before you get to the grievance, Joe, why is this song representative of your year, if not Joe Biden's year?
Because I heard this song at the shopping mall. It was on the music on the background, and I thought it was an old Blondie song, right? You know, because it just made me feel old. Okay, first of all, I'm at the shopping mall. Nobody goes to the shopping mall anymore, right?
You've heard of the Amazons, right, Joe?
Not so. I've heard of them, yeah. But anyway, so I asked the girl in the store there if she knew what it was, and she pulled out her phone, and she's got an app on her phone that identifies the songs. And I'm like, holy moly, you know, it made me feel like, or maybe I should say, you know, like, I don't know, it just made me feel like past my Amazon Prime, you know.
Well done there, Joe.
Anyway, yeah.
Can't say you're not still clever, though, sir.
Yeah, sharp as a whip. What I'd like to do is just name a few of my things here.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to thank you for the distinguished guests that you have on your show. I mean, it's just great to listen. You know, your weekly guests and the one you bring in, they're real enlightening. I just feel I had like a little wake up last night. It's got to do basically with that phony election list. I'll get to that in a second, you know. But your Christmas tree caper that you guys did last year really opened my eyes to how insidious the Wisconsin Republican politicians really are. Okay, as we sit here and, you know, we make fun of it and that, but I just couldn't believe how far down the line this thing actually went. So anyway, if I could bring up point number 2 here about the phony electors, I know you sort of got your favorite there with Robert Spindell. I went on yesterday and looked at Andrew Hitt. He's like the chairperson of the Electrical College of Wisconsin, at least according to their phony document. I looked at it online yesterday. It was on Bulwark. And I looked at their thing, and he's, you know, the All-American boy there with his, you know, Scott Walker boy, you know. Now he stepped down as the party chair. And, you know, he's bragging about how he opened up an office on the north side of Milwaukee and that, which, you know, is a buzzword for, you know, you know what I'm talking about. But
he's
anyway,
saying, I have black friends, I believe, Joe, but please continue.
Yeah. Right. Because people out of Milwaukee don't realize, you know, most of, you know, the north side is that, you know, I'm trying to be PC here. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah,
I do.
Right. He wants to show that he's all that. But anyway, this is number 3, the one I want to talk about the most. Bill McCoshen, your friend, or the guy you had on the other day.
Yep,
and
he is.
Nice that you have friends, right? And it's nice to have friends from the other side of the aisle line. Don't get me wrong, right? But I just want to bring up a couple of issues that he brought up. You know, he's talking about Ron Johnson, and well, I knew he was going to run because he was out there traveling Wisconsin and traveling the state, and he's getting back to his grassroots. Well, what happened when he went to the Juneteenth grassroots? You know, he was lucky to get out of there alive, for crying out loud, you know? So I think his grassroots are better if he stays west of the city, in my opinion. You know, I mean, and that's just me. But the number one issue that Mr. McCutcheon talked about that all the Republicans are worried about are, quote marks, election integrity. That's the number one thing. He's talking about this legislative audit bureau. They got 38 things that Governor Evers should pass right away. Well, because I'm so bored, I actually went up and looked at these 30. Actually, it's only 30. And basically, it's just a bunch of mambo jumbo. So guys like the Racine sheriff can make ridiculous, outlandish accusations about, you know, the old folks home. You had that guy out of Mark Thompson. He was talking about that. So you read through these, and some of them are kind of innocent, you know, like how to fix a paper jam and this and that. But a lot of those 30 are things that lawyers, you know, they can take and blow out of proportion, you know. And I guess my number 4 thing I want to say is Larry McCarran always says a quote that sometimes the best job you can do is your own. And we got to work on our own work. We got to work on making sure our senator doesn't win and we get one of our guys in there, and that's about all I got to say, man. I know I'm probably missing a few things. I'm kind of fired up.
I can't imagine, Joe, that you missed much of anything, man. That was a nuance. That phone call had many layers like an onion, sir. Appreciate your contribution, Joe. Have a wonderful weekend. Go Packers. We're going to keep moving down the phones at 844-967-2789. It must be Friday. I'm forgetting my name, what day of the week it is, what the phone number is, but I didn't forget to go to the phones. Ross, you're next. How you doing, my friend? Did you pick a song? I'm good, yeah. Ross. All things considered, Friday afternoon, freezing my ass off. I'm good. But Ross, did you pick a song for the first year of the Biden presidency?
I did. The one that came to mind was "No More Mr. Nice Guy" by Alice Cooper. The thing I kind of liked about it is it sort of talks about a guy that everybody loved. Everybody thought he was great. He opens up the doors for old ladies and all this kind of stuff. And then pretty soon it says something about like how people start reading the papers and then all of a sudden nobody likes him. His dog bites his ankle, which I kind of think is like the dog is kind of like the left wing of the Democrats biting his ankle, and then he says a cat claws his eyes out, which is kind of like the Republicans. It's like this guy that he was sort of like what I always sometimes like to talk about as the moderate wing of the Democrats and stuff. So that's my song, and I'm kind of thinking we'll see if old Joe sort of gets a little bit meaner in the next year or so.
Well, I like Ross, appreciate that contribution. I like the new sort of ass kicking Joe, at least rhetorically, when he gives a speech now. I know he means it. He's got the tone, he's got the passion in his belly. Love when our audience participates, like you at 844-967-2789. Betsy, it's been a while, Betsy. Did you pick a song for us?
Yeah, I did. I had a few of them I thought of, but what I like, and I like to be positive right now because I'm so wiped out from negative, was In a Big Country by Big Country.
I think this one's, I think my fine producer Evan's playing it right now. Betsy, why'd you pick that one?
One, because when I first heard it, I cranked the radio up and I was in high school. And it just got me feeling patriotic. It was a happy song, And I think it's a happy thing that Joe Biden's our president, even though people pick him apart. But he's nothing like what we had, and I just thank God for that.
Betsy, I thank God for you, sister, all the time. Thank God it's the 420 break, and there's more Devil's Advocates when you come back with us. More of this little exercise, the soundtrack of Joe Biden's presidency.
You love them enough to do anything for them.
Dad, can we make 200 cookies for my bake sale tomorrow?
Let's do this. Including checking nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and Congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
With so much loss, you may feel like you can't handle it all. Meditation or other spiritual practices can help you feel more grounded and better able to cope.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Spruce up your home with soy candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents. Did you know our candle jars are also double old-fashioned glasses? That's right. Buy a candle and you get a free cocktail glass. Check out our blog at wiscohomegoods.com/blog for more information. That's wiscohomegoods.com/blog.
The Devil's Advocate, because freedom.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, getting my musical horizons expanded today. Playing a little game, enjoying your company on the phones at 844-967-2789. A, it's Friday. We air the grievances, and yours could be next. And B, we've asked you to participate. And so many of you are playing along, and we like when you do that. What would be the song of the first year of the Joe Biden presidency? And this one, a little Zappa tune, is Sammy's choice. Sammy, welcome to the show. Why'd you pick this song?
Well, when it first started out, we thought, yeah, we got 50% over here in the Democratic side, and then we got the Republican 50%, and then the vice president was going to break up the difference. It didn't work that way with the two turncoats that they have.
And this song, this Zappa song is called what? 50-50?
50-50.
Sammy, that's a clever and intelligent choice, sir.
Well, okay. Let's get right to my grievance.
Let's do that.
You know, I watched the president on TV. It was hard for me to get it on TV because he was only on one network. Because I got an antenna and no cable. But when the orange one had his time, he preempted everything. And he always did it right during the political part of the View every morning.
I see what you mean. Yeah. You know, he's going earlier in the day, and it's just harder to clue into, where the previous guy, like you said, everybody would carry him all day long.
Well, and Sammy, during the campaign in 2016, networks would breathlessly cover a podium waiting for Trump to come out to a rally of MAGA supporters. Obviously, there was a difference in coverage, and I thought he got a lot of free coverage. But, you know, Trump actually came out, and whether or not we liked what he said, he was far more likely to address the press. And so far, Biden hasn't done that. Sammy, the other day, like 2 hours, once you found it, did you watch for 2 hours? That seemed quite long.
Yes, I did.
And 2 hours in, did he move the needle? Did he advance the pick your analogy and stick it in here? Did he move the needle, sir? Did he advance the conversation at all?
Yes, he did. I think he was really good with the reporters there, on not like Donald Trump. I mean, when Trump did it, there'd be a chopper blaring in the background, and you couldn't even hear the questions.
Well, and that was purposeful and strategic often. And, you know, Trump would yell back at the reporter, what, take off your mask. I can't hear you. Obviously, that was part of the theatrics as well.
Exactly. I guess what I'm saying is democratically, we're not messaging as well. I don't know.
Well, Sammy, I'd say it's better than 50-50 chances that we could do a better job at messaging. Broadly, the left could, the Democratic Party could. Read articles this week. The DNC is having a hard time figuring out what the talking points are. How do you put this into words? What does the Biden White House want the Democratic Party and the candidates that would run up and down the ticket? What do you want them saying? Well, I pointed out, no one gives me talking points. I'll be quite sure of that. But I've been saying, you know, there have been legislative accomplishments. There are accomplishments of the first year of the Biden administration. You may not get a lot more, and you better get some more small victories. I'd like to see some small victories. But anyways, 844-967-2789. Don't be afraid to brag about what you've accomplished, Democrats. That's my thought. Let's get yours at 967-2789. Tom calling in from West Dallas, southeastern Wisconsin. Tom, what's your song choice?
But Won't Get Fooled Again by the Who.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, it has a lot of, and that was about the Vietnam War. So.
And Tom, what aspect, and I love this song, I love the Who, but why'd you choose it? You a big CSI fan, or why this one?
He's telling, in his speech, he's telling them, hey, we're getting people that are telling us lies. We want the truth now.
And do you think Biden did an effective job sorry to interrupt, Tom. Do you think Biden did an effective job the other day in the press conference?
For his age, yes. I mean, he did what he can at his age, especially going for 2 hours like that. You know what I mean?
Oh no, that's some stamina, Tom. 2 hours on the radio feels like a lot of work. I got to take commercial breaks occasionally. Buddy, thank you for listening on our news station down in southeastern Wisconsin, 540 AM WAUK and 101 FM The Shaw. More of your calls at 844-96-PARTY. Dick listening. Dick, welcome to the show, man. You got a grievance? You got a song? What do you got for us, Dick?
Oh, I got a song. Chicago's Low Down. If you listen to the lyrics to that, it must be how Joe is feeling. Very much.
I don't play a lot of Chicago tunes on the station. I gotta tell you. So what part of the lyrics inspires you, Dick, here?
Well, feeling pretty bad, feeling just like I lost the best friend I ever had. And there's many of them in the song, but why
are you feeling so low down, man? Joe Biden's 1 year into his presidency. He can turn it around.
I'm sure he can. I'm hoping he comes up and it becomes No More Mr. Nice Guy. I love that song too. It was a great pick. It's just awesome.
Dick, I can give you like 30 seconds for a grievance.
Callers that just, have their own facts and just don't really, and I think we know who we're talking about.
Well, I hope you don't mean me, Dick. I'm like 63% accurate. Buddy, have a wonderful weekend. Cheer on those Badgers, cheer on those Packers, and keep listening to the greatest radio show ever. That's not fake news. That's nothing but truth. Come back with us. More Devils, more of this fun exercise at 844-967-2789.
WTTN 1580 AM News Talk Radio, built for the 99%, is rural Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Rocker. Meet me at the new Dark Horse Art Bar in East Wash. Happy hour is Tuesday through Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. You pick the day. 2-for-1 rail drinks and slices of Sal's tomato pies for $1. Jimmy, it's happy hour at the Dark Horse Art Bar, 756 East Washington in Madison, across from the Sylvie.
Madison's newest happy hour, craft cocktail, local art and music. Find out more at the new Dark Horse Art Bar and Gallery, online at darkhorsemadison.com.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and Congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertisement. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidate.
Ukraine talks. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. After meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Geneva on Ukraine, Secretary of State Antony Blinken admits no progress, but a better understanding.
I believe that Foreign Minister Lavrov now has a better understanding of our position and vice versa. Today's discussion was useful in that sense, and that's precisely why we met.
Russia has some 100,000 troops massed near Ukraine's borders. President Vladimir Putin demanding the U.S. and NATO not expand into Eastern Europe. a non-starter for the alliance. The head of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, on the status of coronavirus pandemic in the midst of the Omicron surge.
Overall, nationally, the case numbers are coming down, which I consider an optimistic trend.
Walensky adds that cases are still rising in some parts of the country where the variant arrived later. Federal judge in Texas blocks the federal government from enforcing President Biden's vaccine requirement for federal workers. I'm Tim McGuire.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon, cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code FREE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code FREE for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FREE.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Yesterday, voting rights organizations including the League of Women Voters, Disability Rights Wisconsin, and Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice filed an appeal to a Waukesha County judge's ruling from last week that prevents the use of absentee ballot drop boxes throughout the state. Also yesterday, Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul filed an appeal of the ruling on behalf of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. During the first legislative session of the year, Republican lawmakers passed a number of proposals out of the state assembly that would increase gun access on school grounds and places of worship, in what would be a dramatic expansion of gun rights if passed. This week, the train cars that were scheduled to run on a high-speed rail route between Madison and Milwaukee were purchased by the Nigerian government after sitting idle for the past decade. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Doing the Friday edition, rolling through the 4 o'clock happy hour. Got a couple of headlines to throw at you fine people. Mark Pocan, my congressman here in Madison, has asked Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of the United States, to investigate the Republican false electors. You know, the fraudulent filing. Andrew Hitt, Bob Spindell, a lot of Republican officials signed off and said Trump won the state of Wisconsin. That ain't true. Also, absentee ballots here in the state of Wisconsin. A Waukesha County judge had ruled that they were illegal. And of course, we've got it. Well, we do all across the state. We got a spring primary coming up February 15th. Some people have already gotten their absentee ballots. They might be tempted to drop them in an absentee ballot drop box because that's always been legal. But today, the Waukesha County judge decided he's not staying his ruling. Still illegal. So there's more bad news for Wisconsin. And one of my grievances, I'm going to throw this one out there. The future wannabe Trump, Ron DeSantis, the governor of the state of Florida, today at a press conference, or maybe it was yesterday, but Florida Governor Ron DeSantis refused to answer a question on whether he had received the COVID-19 booster shot, calling it a private matter. So that's something that, I think people should just make their own decisions on. DeSantis said when asked directly about his booster status, apparently this news conference was today in Sarasota. I'm not going to let that be a weapon for people to be able to use. What, the vaccine status? You're vaccinated because you believe in science. That could be weaponized against you? Well, of course it could. Of course it could, at least with the positions you have taken. And if you're unvaccinated, that can be used against you? Well, I suppose it could. By those of us that believe in Darwin and science. But anyways, Ron DeSantis, the governor of the great state of Florida, such a courageous sort of jellyfish like that man. We're getting back to the songs. Jeff, going to play Jeff, 844-967-2789. Jeff, you've got a song or soundtrack of the first year of the Joe Biden presidency.
I do, Mike. It goes right along. You set me up really well. It's called Roll Up Your Sleeves by an Australian artist. And he does a little bit of QAnon at the beginning. And then we have a nice, beautiful voice singing about taking the vaccine. And I think Joe should be talking about all of his successes.
You know, part of the problem, Jeff, I have not heard this song. Again, my musical taste being expanded as we speak. But, you know, here's something interesting, Jeff. We see new statistics out today about the effectiveness of the vaccines and the boosters, be it the Moderna, be it the Pfizer vaccine. They're both very effective against the Omicron. So that's good news. And, you know, some of this is playing out in real time. So the science is following the actual statistics and the actual hospitalizations and mortalities. But we also announced today on this big show, Meatloaf dead, rampant anti-vaxxer. Well, Meatloaf was 74 years old, and he was 50 times more likely to be hospitalized because he was unvaccinated than someone that's fully vaccinated and boosted in that same age category. In fact, that goes all the way down to 12-year-olds. I hate this when I hear Republicans talking about, you know, in their anti-vaxxer rhetoric or their anti-masking rhetoric. Well, why do the kids need it? Well, you know, even in the 12 to 17-year-old category, being boosted, the failure to do so makes you 9 times more likely to be hospitalized at that very young age group, Jeff. And, you know, here's where I'm actually going to. Today, a federal judge, a Trump appointee, threw out the federal vaccine mandates for federal employees. I mean, that's the federal workforce. Joe Biden's the president of the United States. If he doesn't have the right to set policy for federal employees, I mean, Jeff, we're never going to get over a pandemic.
Well, I thought that's what OSHA had the ability to control.
Well, this is above and beyond OSHA. This is above and beyond setting policy for private corporations with 100 or more employees. I'm talking about the federal workforce. A Texas judge today stayed the vaccine mandate for the federal workforce.
Missed that one.
Yeah, there's only a carve out for medical personnel, the medical fields, apparently. That
was only because the Supreme Court made that ruling.
Yeah.
You know, if we left it to the Trump appointed federal judge in Texas, I believe, no doubt he would have outruled the mandate even for medical personnel. But it's ridiculous. Let me appreciate your contribution, Jeff. And that was a cool song. Let me share a little of this with the audience. The reporting at thehill.com, federal judge in Texas blocks Biden's vaccine mandate for federal workers. Yeah, this is a grievance. A federal judge in Texas on Friday blocked Joe Biden's mandate for federal workers to be vaccinated against COVID-19 in the latest blow to the White House's vaccination efforts. Judge Jeffrey Brown, who was appointed by former President Donald Trump, shocker, wrote that the order exceeded the president's authority. The case is about, and here's a quote from the ruling apparently, whether the president can, with the stroke of a pen and without the input of Congress, require millions of federal employees to undergo a medical procedure as a condition of their employment, Brown wrote. The Department of Justice immediately said it would appeal, and the order comes after the Supreme Court, and this is the one that I think Jeff was talking about. The order comes after the Supreme Court earlier this month blocked Biden's mandate that employees at businesses with 100 or more workers get vaccinated or regularly tested. Now, here's a little bit more. Here is reaction. The federal government's power to mandate vaccination for its own employees is thought to be on stronger legal footing, though Friday's ruling underscores the ongoing nature of the dispute. Here's a quote from a University of Texas professor. I'm sorry, but this is insane. The federal government lacks the power to require its own, air quotes, employee to be vaccinated. That, according to Steve Vladek, a law professor at the University of Texas. Judge Brown pointed to the interest in maintaining the liberty of individuals to make intensely personal decisions according to their own convictions. And we all know Republicans, including guys like DeSantis and Abbott down in Texas, have mounted a major legal campaign against Biden's vaccine mandates and have denounced them for infringing on people's personal choices. But if you get vaccinated, you are not going to end up dead from COVID-19. And the failure to do so amongst the age group that included Meatloaf until today, when he died of COVID, you're 50 times more likely to be hospitalized if you're unvaccinated. Yeah, we got federal judges saying, well, you can't make people do that. You know what? Why not? He's the president of the United States. I, as an employer, if I make a vaccine mandate for my employees, you know what? Go get a vaccine. Do it. It's a requirement of your employment. When did Republicans get so twisted on this? Well, I forget when Joe Biden became tyrannical by trying to keep people safe from an ongoing international pandemic. Damn it. 844-967-2789. I was just making sure. Tom's got a choice here. We're gonna play Tom's choice next. But Tom, tell the fine audience and the game we've been playing, in case you just joined us, the soundtrack of the Joe Biden presidency so far. Tom, welcome to the big show. What are you thinking?
Thank you, Crude. I am thinking, Hold On, I'm Coming, the famous soul tune by Sam and Dave.
I love this tune, man.
Do you?
I do. And what's this song mean to you in regards to Joe Biden, Tom?
Well, it means that he's going to keep trying, keep coming. He's not going to give up. We're not going to give in, and they're just going to keep on working.
See, I always thought there was some sort of sexual undertone to this song. I didn't realize it was a, get to work Joe Biden song, Tom.
Well, work it any way you can get it. So that's what I say.
Me as well, Tom. In that regard, I'm sort of down for some afternoon delight every now and again, but let's keep moving down the phones. It is always my afternoon delight when you join us and participate in this little exercise we're playing right now. The soundtrack of the Joe Biden presidency, at least so far, and your Friday grievances. Hell, you can lay them on us as well. Dave from Mequon, a loyal listener from the southeastern part of the great state of Wisconsin. Dave, welcome back, man. You got a song choice.
Yes, I actually sent it over to Evan, and it's dedicated to Meatloaf. It's terrible that he passed away, and the other thing was I'm really bummed out was Louis Anderson dying from cancer.
Rip.
That was a kicker. As far as I saw some of what President Biden had to say. Obviously, I wasn't too impressed with what he had to say, but I do hope going forward, though, this year that somehow that we as a country can sort of get back to where we're not going after each other's throats, because that's ultimately what's tearing this country apart. That somehow we got to get past that. And I really hope this new year that somehow that will materialize. So that's what I have to say today.
Dave, you've been listening for a while. I'm far from perfect, man, and I'm certainly partisan in my own beliefs. But I've always tried to have conversations with guys like you.
Yes.
Dave, do you think this helps? And when we have conversations like this, do you ever reconsider? You're a little more conservative than many of our listeners. Have you ever reconsidered your notions just from listening to this fine radio product?
Yeah, I think it's good to, I think it's important to hear, obviously, different opinions. I may not agree with it. And there's sometimes I actually do agree with it, or it actually will introduce me into something that I wouldn't have considered before. So I try to have an open mind with whatever's being presented. And, that's where I try to go with it. And I think you guys do a very good job allowing all points of view onto the show, because, I will say this, if you're on the other side of the ledger and you're calling it a conservative radio station, It could be very, very short conversation or that's it.
Well, I know. I used to call them. They've got me blocked on most of the local stations now, Dave. Let me ask you, though. Do you think the Republicans ever gave the Biden presidency any sort of a chance? I mean, I didn't see a whole lot of bipartisan sentiment coming from the other side. So when you talk about, let's come together, let's build unity. Give me an example of how Joe could do that with a conservative party that doesn't want to be his dance partner.
Well, you have to remember there was some bipartisan legislation. You obviously had the infrastructure that did pass.
Yes, sir.
You did have the initial COVID relief that was passed at the beginning of the year last year.
There were like 4 bills that Republicans did participate in during Trump's presidency. The last one, I think, was right before the special election in Georgia. So early part of January, before the insurrection, if you will, Dave.
Yes. And so I was going to say, so you had that, but also there really has been a lot of talk about, but a lot of Joe Biden's judges at the federal level have been approved and pushed through. So there is some bipartisan agreement with that as well to make it a little bit more diverse and not blocking. I know that the ambassadors has been another thing, but with the judges, there seems to be a little bit more bipartisanship with that. So that's
well, Dave, let me turn the attention to our backyard. Tony Evers, obviously, he's a Democratic governor. We got Republican controlled legislatures. Okay, they're going to fight about whatever policy and budgets and everything. But here's what really is galling to me. The people like Preen over on the DNR board and on the state college boards and on the regents refusing to leave positions that their terms have expired for. Dave, that seems a little fascistic to me. Until a few of those people leave their jobs, it's hard for me to embrace the Republican point of view. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree with you. If your term is up and you're supposed to be replaced, you got to go. I mean,
do we hold the same attitude for presidents, Dave? I'm going to take that as a yes. Jessica Katzenmeyer, my fine guest, coming next, a congressional candidate.
I love this song. I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzz warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden.
Hello, Ms. Katzenmeyer.
Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for it.
Hello, how are you?
Quick sound check. I'm well. You sound great. How are you today?
Oh, doing great. How are you?
I'm
It's
well.
Happy Friday, right?
That's right. We're having a great time over here today. More fun than we're allowed, as they
all
say.
day, so
That's exciting.
So I was going to say,
ooh,
my
I didn't know
song
It's natural
is "Quit Playing Games with My Heart."
Okay. No, you got it. You got it.
describe the
Midwestern
Biden
business in
administration's
Madison,
first
Wisconsin.
year.
Our natural hand soaps, lotions, and sugar scrubs.
You got it. We're coming in. We're coming in hot with it.
Self-care products come in a variety of scents you're sure to love. So go on.
Very good. We are back from break in about 1 minute here.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Healthy, nourishing self-care and more at wiscohomegoods.com.
Social media? You've kept up with the times. If you can do that, you can definitely save for retirement. Go to aceyourretirement.org and in just 3 minutes, you'll get free tips to help boost your retirement savings. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
I'm Kirk Bankstad, and I own the Minocqua Brewing Company in deep red northern Wisconsin, and I have a super PAC. We make good trouble by buying billboards, radio ads, and calls to voters in northern Wisconsin. We target federal and state elections, thank Ron Johnson and Tom Tiffany, and concentrate on a fair redistricting process. Give a donation now
10
if you're
seconds.
able at the MinocquaBrewingCompany.com super PAC tab. Help us make the politics of the Northwoods as clean as our lakes and streams. That's the MinocquaBrewingCompany.com super PAC tab.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin uprising. The Devil's Advocate.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the 4 o'clock happy hour. It rolls on with a fine guest. She's joined me live via Zoom. Jessica Katzenmeyer. She is a congressional candidate right here in the great state of Wisconsin. And Jessica, you picked the music. Was that a song on behalf of the Joe Biden first year in presidency? We've been picking the soundtrack of the Joe Biden presidency. What song was it? And what's it mean to you?
It is Quit Playing Games with My Heart. And I think the theme of this is, let's go back to this past week of what happened was, the filibuster trying to change the rules of the Senate. And of course, Manchin and Sinema, as we have all predicted, they voted against that. And then I go back to when Build Back Better with Manchin's blocking that as well too. So it's like, quit playing games with my heart. Let's get this stuff going through here. We're all Democrats. We want these policies through, right?
Well, Jessica, I know you're not a first-time candidate. You ran for an assembly seat, I believe, against Joe Sanfilippo most recently in your home district. Now you're running for the U.S. Congress, and you're running in the 5th Congressional District. And there's a rookie congressman, a freshman, if you will, Scott Fitzgerald, the former Senate Majority Leader here. And Scott Fitzgerald, I would point out for those listening from outside the state, was one of the guys that was just fine with setting aside the outcome of his own election because he said it was a rigged election. And, of course, Donald Trump should have won the state of Wisconsin. Well, he was the conductor of the Trump train since the get-go. What was your opinion of Congressman Fitzgerald trying to set aside Wisconsin's electoral vote?
Oh my God, like the way I describe this to people. So I'm running against crazy conspiracy theorist Scott Fitzgerald. And so he got sworn into office on January 3rd. And then just 3 days later, January 6th, his first vote in Congress is to decertify the election results. How about that for your legacy, right? I mean, I'm embarrassed actually as a constituent of the 5th Congressional District. So this is also a reason why I am running against Fitzgerald, because we need better representation here for all the amazing people of this district.
Jessica Katzenmeyer, I want to talk about some of the legislative positions that the Republicans, and here in the state of Wisconsin, for those that are unaware, we have a very partisan gerrymandered state legislature. The Assembly is about 2/3 Republican. The Senate has a similar ratio, and they're putting forth all sorts of legislation, and some of it strikes me as transphobic. And I know that you could take this personally, Jessica, but what is your opinion of the legislative proposals being put forth?
Well, it's an election year. It's 2022. We have a big midterm elections coming up. We have the governor's election and the U.S. Senate election. So this is pretty common, it seems, of the GOP here, especially in this state, to try to push through a lot of horrible bills. And now Representative Scott Allen out of the 97th Assembly District is pushing through an anti-transgender healthcare bill, of which he calls the Help Not Hurt Act. So, I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it. So I could go into some of the highlights of the bill if you would like for me to.
Please do, Jessica.
Okay, so number one highlight is, these are the reasons why the Republicans are trying to justify that this bill is necessary. So they say the recommended 4-step treatment process for for transgender people is puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgery. And then they say that may, in fact, be harmful and irreversible. So the fact is, many psychologists actually don't recommend transitional surgery for people who are under the age of 18 because it's already dangerous. So you know what this tells me? This tells me, why is this bill being introduced already? Because it's not an issue. It's not happening. So they're just wasting taxpayer money on these nonsensical bills based off of misinformation and a lot of hate too.
Well, Jessica, it's not exactly an analogous piece of legislation, but the same legislature is putting forth a 18-year-old concealed carry law, and effectively 18-year-olds are not legally able to purchase weapons in the state of Wisconsin. So you're going to make it legal to take a handgun to school that you cannot legally purchase through federal law until you're 21 years of age or older, in a climate where we've had tons of school shooting. This is another cultural wars issue as far as I'm concerned. What's your opinion of that legislative piece?
Oh my God. It's crazy what they're trying to push through. Like, who in their right mind thinks that an 18-year-old is okay to have a gun? This is why we need more gun control laws, especially like you said, with all the mass shootings that are going on. I don't have any kids, but I can imagine for a parent who have kids, it's got to be scary these days, sending your kids to school, knowing that hopefully that they'll be coming home safe. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Jessica, there was national statistics that came out this week that said effectively, if your state has strong anti-gun laws on the books, be it California, Massachusetts was one of the best states in the nation. Well, what do you know? You have less gun violence in your state. And when they track that research further and show the gun violence that does actually occur in the states with the restrictive gun laws, well, those guns were purchased in other states and brought across the border. Jessica, what's your thought? If you are elected to the U.S. Congress, what should be our federal policy on guns?
Well, definitely, I think more gun control is a must. You got states like Texas where it seems like basically anyone can own a gun. And this is why we need to have federal laws passed to supersede these state laws, because if anybody can have a gun in Texas, who's going to prevent somebody from, say, Wisconsin, driving down to Texas, buying a gun, coming back here to Wisconsin, right? This is why we need to have more gun control laws at the federal level. We need to make sure that the right people have them, not the wrong people have them. Am I correct on that?
Well, you'd like to think so. Jessica, as a congressional candidate, if you had to pick an issue, what is, your advocacy? What's your number one issue that you're leading with?
My number one issue is healthcare. I was known as a healthcare candidate last year, or I guess a year and a half ago in 2020. I'm definitely going to be known as a healthcare candidate again in this election cycle. I advocate for the continued expansion of the Affordable Care Act because, when we're going to the doctor's office, our co-pays, our prescription drug costs keep going up and up and up. And it's really sad when I really have to budget out that money for my monthly medications that I take just for myself. And I can imagine what this is like for other people too.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to make sure that we give people and give you sufficient time to tell people if they want to support your congressional campaign, where can they go? How can they help?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They could go to www.jessicaforwis.com for more information. And then you'll have information more on my platform, as well as how to donate if you want to donate, and more about myself, about my past, and what I'm all about. So,
Jessica, give them the website one more time, please.
That's www.jessicaforwis.com.
Jessica Katzenmeyer, a congressional candidate in the 5th Congressional District, great state of Wisconsin. Jessica, good luck with your campaign. Have a wonderful weekend. Go Packers, go Badgers. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll do it again on Monday.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much, Jessica. That was great.
This is Rocker, and I'm sitting here on the patio at Salvatore's Tomato Pie. It's freezing.